The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of Weird News Weekly may not be those of this radio network, its sponsors or affiliations. User discretion is advised. Welcome to
Weird News Weekly with
Diane Brown and
Norm Solbush.
Hello and welcome to another Weird News Weekly, and it's part 2 as we left off last week because we ran out of time basically. And so of course we are still here with our guest actor and radio co-host for the Paranormal View, Geoff Gould.
Hello.
And of course Norm is there over in Ohio, and I believe he's going golfing later.
I got to go out and get some balls. I got to get some a glove. I got my shoes. Got to clean my clubs and get out there and play. 16 weeks of golf. I got to win the trophy this year. It's just no reason why I can't. It's a handicap league. I mean, I'm like a 10 handicap on 9 holes out at this golf course we play at. So I'm playing a guy that's got 5. So he's going to be giving me 5 strokes, and he's a new guy. He's going to flip out when he reads the scorecard.
My dad was a golfer. To me, if I get past the windmill blades, I'm good.
I love golf.
My dad took us golfing, and this one hole had a water hazard between the tee and the hole, and so he says, okay, you want to hit to the fairway and then towards the hole. I'm like, well, yeah, no problem. So I hit the ball. It goes sailing in a straight laser line over the water hazard onto the green, hits the flag, bang, and then bounces down. And my dad is doing cartwheels. I'm like, Dad, that would have been really impressive if I had been aiming in that direction.
Yeah. There is a little bit of luck involved at times. And when you do hit that shot, you just go, oh, my God. And people look at you and they go, how the hell did he do that? And then you ask yourself, how did I do that? I don't think I could do that again.
That's the thing. I was aiming for the fairway to the right.
It's just like it between, you're stuck in the trees, and everybody says, oh, you're not going to try to get it through those 2 trees, are you? I go, what trees? There's no trees there. Get up there, you just focus, slam that club, and you might be about 2 inches from the big tree, and they all look at you like you're a professional, and you go, I just got lucky. I love it.
My mom was golfing once, and her companion and her ball each landed right next to a Canada goose nest. And so my mom goes up literally to the goose and physically says, I just want to hit my ball and be on my way. And then, I'll apologize for disturbing you. And the goose just looks at her. My mom hits the ball, off she goes. And her friend figures, oh, well, that's easy, and just walks right up, and the goose chased her with its beak open because she wasn't asking permission.
Yeah, they're funny, geese are. I don't like it when they open their mouth and you can see that tiny row of little pincers.
I know.
Remember the movie Fly?
Which one, with Jeff Goldblum? Or
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. That was an intense show.
Oh, yeah, that was very intense.
I mean, at the time, it was just like, wow.
I prefer the original with David Edison.
Yeah, I like the original as well because it had the terrifying climax of the spider web, but and still that scene just creeps me the heck out.
Yeah.
But I liked the Jeff Goldblum update. There are times that remakes don't work for me, and sometimes they do. I loved the original Night of the Living Dead because it was just a hilarious comedy compared to the fact I saw it as a double feature with Wes Craven's Last House on the Left, which was the first real slasher torture porn movie ever made, and it was so horrifyingly intense. I mean, my dad and I went to it because I was like 17 or 16, and it was R, so I had to be with a parent or guardian. Thankfully, my parents both loved horror movies. But we were expecting a haunted house movie or something like that, and you had this horrific torture porn movie going on, and my dad is like, I don't know if we can really make it through this. And I said, well, we have to because it's a double feature and there's this Night of the Living Dead movie. And Night of the Living Dead started, and all of a sudden it's in black and white. And we're like, okay, so, if there's anything bad with gore, it'll be in black and white. And Johnny sits there and puts on the driving gloves. And I looked at my dad and I said, we can't leave. He says, why? I say, I know everything that's going to happen in this movie. He goes, have you seen this? I said, no. I said, last year at camp, one of the counselors told us this movie, but he couldn't remember the title. And he had seen it. And, of course, the audience seeing Night of the Living Dead, which was extremely campy compared to Last House on the Left, it was this rollicking comedy for us. We thought it was absolutely hilarious. And it was able to break the tension from the first movie. And there are people who find the first film really terrifying, or Night of the Living Dead. Well, Tom Savini, who did the makeup for the original Night of the Living Dead, directed the remake in the 70s, 80s, and first time when I fell in love with Patricia Tallman. And I was very impressed with how the remake took things that you remember from the first film and kind of spun it on its head a bit. So it was sort of like, yeah, we could make a shot-for-shot remake like they did Psycho, which I didn't even bother seeing. The fact that there were certain changes was both an homage and a surprise. Because in the original, you had a character who was this whining, scared little girl, and she eventually gets killed. And in the remake, she finds her spine and becomes like Rambette, as it were, like a little female Rambo. And I was like, oh my God, that's just such a cool spin on that. And they still got lines in that were from the first film, but they were done in a different way. So that remake, even though it changed it a bit, worked for me. So I don't mind things that do like a new spin on something with which you'd be very familiar.
Yeah, it's good when they do that. But I don't generally like remakes. Especially now when they do it. They're talking about remaking Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, the female Ghostbusters. They're much more important films for me to see than that, because they also, from what I understand, it's not just here's Ghostbusters with a female cast. It's like, yeah, it's a completely different movie, and it's going to be completely ridiculous and nonsense, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier off air about CDs and the way the CDs sound versus vinyl records. I was a drive-in guy. I did a lot of drive-ins back in the day. Actually, it was a cheap date. For $10, I could go to a drive-in with a girl. They always had little egg rolls you could buy in a pop, or chips, or the chips with the cheese on it. And it was a cheap night, and you were there from dark until sometimes 2 in the morning after the second show was over. And it was a great time. And the thing is, the little box that you put on your window, that was the only way to watch a movie back in those days. And then they went to the FM where you could tune it into your car radio to where it started to be like a stereo within your car. And then, and then things changed. But then boxes, people can laugh at those little boxes that you hung on your window. It had that little volume control. That was the only way to watch a movie in a drive-in.
Yeah, and it sounded like a little telephone sometimes.
Yes. Then they'd go to intermission. They probably had to change the roll of film or something, but they would go to intermission and they'd say, they'd show the popcorn and the egg rolls and the candy and the pop. Everybody would line up and go get something to eat. What would you like, honey? Oh, you'd like some popcorn. I'll be right back.
We would bring food with us. We didn't bother buying it. We could bring. So, it's not like you walk into an AMC theater nowadays and, have to kind of sneak it in.
Right.
But back then, you were in a car. You'd have like an ice chest of sodas or whatever in the trunk.
I had the Miller High Life in a can that I would take to the drive-ins for me and my date. I was really hip,
I should think things were dearer, even at the drive-in, than they would going into a store anyway.
Well, yeah, but it was a very simple thing. You just walked through a line. There was a cashier there, and you picked out of this pre-cooked stuff, and you just grabbed either a hot dog or a. But the thing around Ohio back in those days was these egg rolls. That was like, you're on a date and you're going to buy your date an egg roll. It's kind of like a fancy little restaurant right there at the drive-in. I mean, for $1 you're buying this egg roll. Probably wouldn't eat them today, but it was the thing to do. And you always ran into friends. You looked for their car. You parked a certain way. You yelled at somebody that had a big truck that parked in front of you. All kinds of stuff. People, if you haven't gone to drive-ins, if I was a millionaire, I honestly would reopen and franchise 1950s, 60s, and 70s drive-in atmospheres with the old little speaker, and I would get a little projector because you can't see this stuff in high digital stuff at the drive-in. You had to see the film. That was part of my growing up.
So the trouble is, a lot of films nowadays aren't transferred onto celluloid anymore. They're only digital. And they're actually beamed to the theaters sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you could do that. It should be a lot easier now, wouldn't it? You just stick a screen up and, it's much easier.
Like I say, when I first moved out here, I stayed with my girlfriend's friend up in North Hills, and there was a drive-in theater across the street. And I thought, how awesome is this? And there was I was there right at the end of its season before it went into its winter break or whatever it did. Instead of being year round, I mean, it's LA, what the heck? And it never reopened, and now it's gone. And I'm like, Now, back east, and I keep, every time I've gone back there, I haven't had a chance to do this. My mom, for some reason, cannot remember the drive-in theater we always used to go to. And my brother and I are like, no, we know exactly where it was. We don't know if it's still there because it was off into the woods. It was off Route 46, and I know exactly where it is, but there was this little road. And back then, of course, they had the big sign out front like, here's the drive-in, and you'd go in and you'd go through the woods. And the thing with the woods was you really didn't see the screen from the highway, so it wasn't a distraction. But I'm wondering if the framework is still there, if the screen may be still there. I would love to go back that trail and see if it's been torn down, if it's been built up with industrial buildings or what. But yeah, I remember seeing The Magic Christian at the drive-in. And a lot of times when they always had double features, but the second showing sometimes was really surprisingly something we didn't expect that was really, really good. And like I say, I have no idea what the original film was we went to see that Magic Christian was playing in tandem. But when we were watching Magic Christian, we're like, what the heck movie is this? And all of a sudden, there's Peter Sellers, there's Ringo Starr. We're like, oh my goodness, this may be really, really interesting. And then we see in the credits, John Cleese and Graham Chapman as co-writers. And we're like, oh, we're seeing this for sure. And it was brilliantly one of the funniest satire movies ever made, outside of Monty Python proper. So
I would tell you this, Jeffrey. I had a 1969 Chevy Impala four-door.
Uh-huh.
I dated a girl, and we would go to the drive-in, and I finally figured out how to take the back seat out, the bottom part. You take it out, and you would put blankets down there, and you put pillows back there. Then the two front seats would fold forward all the way down, and you would just have your own little area where you could sit there with your girlfriend and watch the movie out your front window. That was just the way it was, You had a little cooler, my little six-pack of Miller High Life, and I'd run out during intermission and buy her an egg roll. And we sat there, and I'll never forget this movie title. It was called Hell Motel. It was about a guy that ran a motel and a restaurant, and he would kidnap these people.
Motel Hell?
Yeah, remember that?
Okay, yeah, Motel Hell, I know. And that John Ratzenberger was one of those victims, right?
Remember the sign that would just say motel and it came up hell?
Yeah, because the joke was the O in hello was broken.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, that has never left my mind. I'm 56 years old, and I saw that at a local drive-in that's now closed. Some things just never leave your mind. We do have one drive-in that's still open in Northwest Ohio. It's a very family-run oriented thing. Three brothers own it, and they keep it running. And people from 50 miles away go to this drive-in. It's like in the Genoa area, and it's pretty wild stuff.
How close are you to the Pennsylvania border?
Well, if I take the turnpike, I can go right through Cleveland. Go right through Erie. It's not far, probably 3-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious because we're doing our show from Gettysburg, and they're going to be doing a paranormal investigation right afterwards.
Oh, great.
Wow. Pennsylvania. My mother used to live in Corning, New York. We used to go to Pennsylvania. Hershey, Pennsylvania, we used to take a bypass and go to Hershey, Pennsylvania back in the day just for a road trip, and that's pretty wild back in the day. I mean, these just little things like that. You remember, there was Corning Glass Center. People Googled Corning Glass Center. That's where my mother grew up, and I used to go to the Glass Center many, many times. We'd visit every year to see my grandfather, and the Chemung River runs through there. And here's the thing, Gorilla Glass. Gorilla Glass, people, was invented back when my mother was growing up in that town. In fact, I think my mother owned stock in that. Then they threw it on the back burner because nobody wanted it. There was no use for it. Behold, people, I own a Droid Turbo sitting right here with Gorilla Glass on it.
You like a BB-8 or something? That kind of a droid, or?
No, it's a good droid phone, but they use Gorilla Glass now. You can't break Gorilla Glass. It's unbreakable.
An Android phone.
Yes.
I've never heard it called a droid except for these aren't the droids you're looking for.
No, it's a droid. I call it a droid. Android people say it.
I've never heard of Gorilla Glass, so I don't know what that is.
Look, Google Gorilla Glass. Where it comes from is Corning Glass Center. They hold the patent on it. It's an unbreakable glass. You can't break it.
Give it to my cats for 10 minutes. And,
you can't break it. It's not like tempered glass. It's not like you can break the edge and it cracks. Gorilla Glass is an unbreakable glass that nobody wanted to use. This patent came out like in 50s or 60s.
Probably jewelry stores used it.
And they shelved it. They just put it in the shelf until the cell phones came out. And they realized that these people are getting screwed on these phones. You drop them once, the thing breaks. The iPhones break, shatter. What do you got to do? You got to get a new phone. A repair job, you might as well forget.
CorningGorillaGlass.com, and it's available on Amazon. So is it thin? Is it thick? Or
it's just a different type of glass that I don't know if they ever used it in the space shuttle. I don't know why they invented it, if they even found it by accident. But a lot of people found this Gorilla Glass as a joke back in the day because they said, who's ever going to use that?
Well, it's implying that they made it for phones as opposed to like been sitting around and realized it could be used for that.
I think they took an old recipe and decided to make it for phones.
Yeah.
And it could have been the next Teflon.
What's that story about Kevlar? Wasn't the guy that made Silly Putty came across Kevlar by accident?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
It was something like that where Kevlar, I knew the family that invented Kevlar, and it was by accident. It's out of Cleveland, Ohio, I think. And look at it today. Bulletproof vest. They used it in my daughter when she had open heart surgery. They put a Kevlar sheet over her organs before they put the sternum back together so that the sternum wouldn't stick to the organs so they could go back in there. Believe it or not, that sheet of Kevlar saved my daughter's life back in the 90s when there was a suture epidemic of being not sterile that killed a lot of people here in Ohio, at least Ohio. And she had them stitches in her chest when she had open heart surgery. And it created a severe infection. The only thing that saved her life was the Kevlar kept all that infection on top of the Kevlar. And they were able to get it out of there. It never infiltrated her body. So Kevlar, hands down, is a lifesaver in a lot of people's lives.
Well, shall we move on to our last news story?
Yes, boss lady.
If you managed to catch our Easter edition with DJ Rick, we presented some Easter trivia where in Brazil There's a tradition where straw dolls are hung in the streets and beaten, with them representing Judas the Apostle, known for betraying Christ. But over the years, these effigies have taken on the likeness of people in the public eye, often being politicians. And this Easter, many Mexican towns and villages add the likeness of Donald Trump, whose anti-immigrant views have sparked outrage south of the American border. In Mexico City, hundreds of people cheered and jeered, throwing insults at the papier-mâché model of Trump in a blue blazer, red tie and trademark hair as the figure was burned. In the past, Mexico have used the likenesses of their own corrupt leaders, such as former Union leader Elba Ester Gordillo and President Enrique Pena Nieto, whose popularity has been hit by a conflict of interest scandals, along with the disappearance of 43 students at the hands of corrupt police.
Oops.
Sounds like Argentina.
Yeah, really.
Don't sing that song, Diane. Did Madonna sing that?
Yes, I can sing it better than her, though.
All right, let's hear it. Go ahead.
She was
You're on.
awful. Yeah, so maybe we'll be doing Donald Trump on the 5th of November.
It's going to be a really weird thing. And the thing is it's like a weird reverse racism, because the way people are acting towards Trump is like not 1%, substantially greater than the fears people had with Obama taking the reins. And it's just like if people were towards Obama the same way they were with Trump, they'd just play the race card right and left.
Yeah. He could play ginger card, I suppose.
Well, yeah, there's still debate whether or not that's, physical hair or wig or plugs or what.
We've had leaders of parties like that, and they would have made good prime ministers. And there was one, and they said, "Why didn't you vote for him?" They said, "Well, he's going bald." Other people said because he's ginger, and others said it was because he was Welsh.
What's wrong with being Welsh? Henry V was Welsh.
No, Henry VII. Yeah, the Tudors. Even Scottish. I mean, that's why Gordon Brown didn't get in, because people won't vote for him because he was Scottish. I think Donald Trump's a psychopath.
No comment. We can get into politics.
But you're going to get Hillary anyway.
No, we're not. Hillary's not going to win. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. The bottom line is this. I don't care about Donald Trump personally, but I will tell you this. Why is the establishment afraid of Donald is the question everybody should be asking themselves. It doesn't matter if you like the guy or not. Give him 4 years. Let him clean out the crime. Let him clean out these lifers, these 60-year-old, 90-year-old men that just sit there and take the money from us. Okay, and make the same rules, the same laws, the same garbage we've been hearing for 30 years. Bottom line is, Donald Trump could change America, and if it's for the good or for the bad, what do we got to lose? Look around. Look around.
I think you'll kill him if he gets in.
Oh yeah,
You'll kill him.
Oh, he'll be assassinated. I mean,
The bottom line is, we need to get the Clintons out of the whole picture here.
Don't you think Kennedy was going to do all this? He was going to get the money back so that these...
yeah.
And
Kennedy was the last good president we had. Everything beyond that has been puppets.
And Mr. Kennedy was the greatest Democratic Republican president we ever had.
Democrat. There's no such thing as Democratic Party. That drives me crazy when official publications say they're Democrat. I'm like, A, they're not. B, they're not, because Democratic Party doesn't exist. That's like saying the Republican Party.
that's the second time I've heard somebody being pulled up saying Democratic.
Yeah, and it's a Democrat Party. They're Democrats. They're not and the thing is, Yeah, they want to be democratic because mob rule, 51, percent of the wolves deciding what to have for lunch when the sheep are the 49%.
Have you ever thought, Jeffrey, of kind of selling yourself to Netflix originals movies to where you could actually be an actor on there?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, they have a lot of good shows. I don't know who
Yeah,
runs their
well,
operation. I don't know
where,
who does
where,
all their shows.
wherever the end showing is, you still have to get onto the production, and that's what I'd love to do. I submit right and left when I can. It's getting my agent to, technically my agent is my commercial representative, sends me out on commercials, but I don't have officially to have a TV theatrical agent. And that's what I've been trying to get them to say, I've been doing this a while now, and I can do it, and just getting them to just start sending me out to TV theatricals is the tough part.
I'm a Netflix guy, and I personally like Orange is the New Black show series, and I enjoy the political one, House of Cards. And
I love the British House of Cards. I haven't seen any of the U.S. version.
now, granted, I guess anybody can say, well, it's Netflix. It might not be true, but I'll tell you what. If you watch House of Cards on Netflix, I can guarantee you, in my opinion, of 56 years on this planet, that Washington, D.C. is just as bad, if not worse, than that TV series.
Oh, absolutely.
There is so much stuff going on that your average American could never handle it.
Yep.
Not everybody's a politician. And if you're a politician, you better be able to play by them rules of that game, or you're going to be either murdered or just taken out.
Well, the thing is the closest I am is libertarian. I haven't been a Republican in decades, and I certainly would never be Democrat. But even Libertarian Party has certain aspects that don't align properly with the Constitution and such like that either. So all I can think of is, I used to refer to myself as a constitutionalist. That's starting to become more of an epithet. How dare you respect the law of the land? So it's more like I refer to myself as an original class of state citizen. And people get confused about that. And I said, well, if you realize how the Constitution was framed, and even Nick Cage said it best in the second National Treasure movie, when they said United States, they referred to the sovereign states, which were states the way France is a sovereign state, Germany is a sovereign state, Norway is a sovereign state. After the war between the states and the North won, suddenly United States became singular, not plural. And the 14th Amendment, while a lot of people say, well, that's, the Emancipation Proclamation kind of thing, no, what it did was it established a new class of citizen. So when I refer to myself as an original class of state citizen, which is what the founders designed, I point out I am not a 14th Amendment defined second class U.S. citizen. When you register to vote, right on top it says, are you a U.S. citizen? That isn't asking if you're an American. They're saying, are you property of the state? Are you chattel that we own? Are you waiving your rights and turning them into privileges we can take away? That's what a U.S. citizen is. That's why whenever I have to fill out an I-9 on a project and it says, are you a citizen of the United States, I always add in writing, of America.
Yeah. Yeah, they got you blackballed. Anyhow. No, but the thing is, maybe it's just my thought process. When I see Democrats pro-abortion and I see Republicans against abortion, and then the gun law comes up, why aren't the liberals for guns? Why are the Republicans for guns?
Thomas Jefferson put it best that the single most important reason for the Second Amendment is, as a last resort, to use it against tyranny of government. And that's why the government said, wait, you can defend yourself against us? Oh, we can't have that.
So the bottom line is Democrats are saying we don't want those guns out there because they're going to be used against us.
Exactly. But the real thing, and it always comes down to one absolute truth, it's not about gun control. It's about control.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's what everybody says to me. I'm getting older. I'm 56. I'm not that old. But the bottom line is, I got a good 30 years left in me. And I start looking at things differently when you got a lot of time on your hands. You're not working your ass off like you used to when you're in 20s and 30s. And you have time to think and see what's going on around you. And I think that's what it is. I see things and from a different point of view when you're kind of retired and you see all the things going on in your community and you see that people really are so tied up in what they're doing daily that they pay no attention is one of the problems in America because they're just sucked into the little circle of their life. They're worried about their house payment. They're worried about their kids. They're worried about their husband or wife. And that's all they care about. They don't care about it. They think everything is going to fix itself. And then I see it to where it just seems like, wow, I never thought of that. I never knew that the politicians play these games. I didn't know that when the guy gets on the TV as your governor is lying to you. They're not really lying, but they're not telling you the truth.
They're lying.
Oh, yeah, they're always lying.
It's just like the guy in the White House that tells you what's going on with Obama. Did you guys ever just sit down and watch that idiot?
Oh,
No
the
matter
press
who he is?
secretary has no idea.
Do you realize all that is a buffer to try to calm everybody down? He's just he's just like a guy in a bar.
But the thing is what I like are some of the more seasoned reporters asking, here's a question. And the guy, I can't answer that. He says, well, and they try and dumb down the question to like a 2-year-old can figure it out. And he's like,
Yeah.
I was lost. And I've seen where the journalist, like, he just gets up and leaves, like, there's no point in my being here. And the thing is the Obamacare laws went through all based on deceptions and lies. And there are videos out there where, Obama's saying, oh, I never said that. And then there's a video that deliberately shows him saying over 48 times, if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. That was an absolute lie. And then he came out and said, well, of course I had to lie. How else could it get passed?
Thing is this, too. These guys that like Obama are living by the rules of whatever goes on behind closed doors. They're playing the same cards they played in the 60s. They didn't incorporate technology. That's why you see a lot of guys will say, well, that YouTube video is fake. Let me tell you what, people, 60 to 80% of those YouTube videos are real.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there are some screwballs out there that try to, believe it or not, there's people out there that believe that the Onion is real. I mean...
Oh, that's hilarious when people...
I know, but people believe that.
When I post an Onion video or a news story, I always have to say Onion satire.
Exactly.
People don't like, why are you saying, I'm like, no, it's fake. It's a joke.
If everybody would go to any website when you read a story and you go down to the bottom, and at the bottom of the website, there is always what we're about. Click it. It will tell you they are a satire site.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they hide that real hard where people say, well, God, this must be true.
I've been a fan of the Onion since they actually had hard copy newspapers. In fact, my brother's in one of their videos.
Really?
Do you remember a video where a young couple is very upset that they have to, end their daughter's life, and the only issue is that the daughter is a teenager, so she's like just barely communicates with them, and she's just on her phone all the time and eye rolls as they talk to her?
No, I don't remember that one, but I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's now I have to remember if it's got a name, but if you look up teenage euthanasia or something like that. Let me see if I can find a good search.
Okay, Diane, he'll look that up, and we can go on to this. What's our last story?
Well, we're at the end, and Stupid Celebrity of the Week.
Oh, boy, this is a big one. She could get thrown in jail, and I might have to fly over there to get her out.
Yeah, you might be doing the show on your own next week. I think we're justified in not only naming this week's Stupid Celebrities, but I should point out that the stations that air our show, which we're very grateful to, are all based outside of the UK.
Amen.
and so this week's Stupid Celebrity of the Week goes to a couple, being Elton John and David Furnish. Through a court injunction, David Furnish used an out-of-date draconian privacy law to get a High Court judge to place a ban on UK media outlets from naming him and Elton John in association with a news story that broke concerning an extramarital threesome. I should point out that it was reported that David Furnish cheated on Elton John with another couple. Even Google was forced to block links to UK users where websites named the couple with their names appearing in US tabloids and even in Scotland. But this is the internet, where you certainly can't keep a good scandal down.
All I could say is this. It's none of my business what the threesome entailed. The partner apparently was bored with his sexual life with Sir Elton, apparently.
He may have got an offer that he couldn't refuse, I don't know.
I don't know how it all happened. I don't know if David is into women or both, or maybe not women, maybe, who knows. All I know is that I find it kind of amazing that these people have the power to tell a judge to actually take it off the internet. Never heard of such a thing in America. We got things that you don't even want on the internet. Nobody can stop it.
Actually, YouTube, they'll panic and take something down on a single complaint without any investigation.
I mean, think about it. You've got these celebrity sex tapes. First of all, women. This is attention all women. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care if it's Jeffrey. I don't care if it's Diane. I don't care if it's me. Don't let any of us film you having sex. Do you understand that? What I just said. Because they will take it and they will use it against you down the road because they hate you when you separate from them.
Well, that's like the joke, it says, what men say, what they mean. It says, do you mind if I videotape our having sex? Meaning, do you mind it being on the internet down the line?
Exactly. If my wife ever says, "Hey Norm, I'm gonna record this sex tonight," I'm gonna look at her and go, "Why? Why would you do that?" I mean, some things have to be sacred, people. So just knock off the nonsense and quit filming yourself having sex. I don't care if you're Pamela Anderson. I don't care if you're the AC/DC guys. I don't care if you're anybody. You shouldn't be doing that because somebody's just trying to really mess with you.
Well, now it's getting into selfies.
Come on, people.
I think Marilyn Monroe was the best one to get away with it.
Yeah.
She said, I was starving.
The problem with Marilyn Monroe, we talked about this before, that's pre-technology, and you know what? That just, in my opinion, at my age, I look back and I'm thinking, this cheating on your spouse stuff is very, very common in my opinion. I've been married twice. I've never cheated on any of my wives. I don't have any plans to cheat on them. If I did, my second wife, Katie here, we've made a pact. If one of us cheats, that person leaves everything to the other person. That's our pact. Goodbye. Hit the bricks, pal. Katie comes home, wants to sleep with a lawyer that she works near. Go for it, Katie. But you know what? When you get home, you're out of here. It's the same way with me. If I want to screw the neighbor next door because I'm home all day, Katie comes home. Bye, Norm. Hit the bricks. Leave the car. Leave everything. Leave your key on the table. Goodbye. Now, if that's what I want to do, that's my decision. But I don't think it would be worth it. Maybe it's drugs, alcohol, whatever, bad decision-making, fantasies. People are crazy.
Well, you see that the press are pushing the fact that this happened, and yet they're putting out to the public a happy marriage.
Well, some people are swingers. Some people have open... Now, here's the thing. And Katie and I always scratch our heads on this one. Open marriage. Somebody please give me the definition of an open marriage.
In which there is rules that, as opposed to straying, it's more like just sex outside of the marriage itself. Because humans and primates and like most animals are only monogamous because society decided that was the way to go.
It's not proper for me to go help the lady next door do the lawn mowing and then have sex with her before my wife gets home because society says that's definitely bad.
Well, you were trained to believe that, which is fine. But
So you're telling me it's okay?
I'm saying biologically, we are not seagulls or squirrels. We don't mate for life, and foxes. Foxes, if one of the two foxes of a pair die, the other stays single for the remainder of its life. That's not a human being. There was a great X-Files episode where they were trying to figure out whether or not we were simply hosts of the concept almost of a virus, that our procreation was almost viral. And which is why males, particularly pre-married males, try and bed as many females as possible. And there's the old joke also that a woman who, wants sex gets sex, and a man who wants sex, it's work.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I heard it's easier for women to have sex than it is men.
It is.
Kind of wonder why.
Because otherwise it's rape, and that is bad. Or at least, that, to me it is. I don't believe, I think it would be much more if the girl's enjoying herself than, trying to fight and pinch me and bite me and stuff.
Okay, so apparently this David Furnish wasn't fulfilled with their relationship being married as husband and husband. I mean, here I'm not trying to justify this, but here's the thing. You got to admit, Sir Elton John has to be out to the studios, has to be out promoting, has to be out. Hell, he's in Toledo here this year. He's coming back to Toledo after 8 years. And
he's been doing Las Vegas, and
we've got a brand
traveling. Yeah,
we got a brand new thing here in Toledo that 30,000 people can fit in it. He probably makes good money here, and he's a great guy. I love the music. I love the man. So apparently, him and David is saying he's missing something in this relationship. So I don't know how it all happened. The deep inside secrets we might not ever know, but.
I think it's like 70% men, if it's offered to them on a plate, they'll take it.
Now, wait a minute, Diane. So you're telling me I'm the 30%, because it was offered to me once. A threesome, actually a foursome, two couples.
With your wife or?
With my wife, the wife
Okay.
I'm married to now. It was. Yeah. I went on a trip. I had no idea these people were that way. We met them on a honeymoon, and we went out. Actually, it was California, not San Francisco. Spent the weekend. We went camping. I can't get into details because the show's not X-rated, but nothing really happened, but it was thrown at us, or at least me, at the moment, and I decided to say no. I was almost appalled by it because I didn't see it coming. People that have an open relationship, or people that are, whatever you want to call them, that are out there just having sex with people, married.
Better than with people than something else, I guess.
The thing is, it caught me by surprise that them people would even do that to me and my wife, and I was very angry about it at the time because I felt that I was violated just by being asked, because I had no idea. If Diane and Jeffrey were a couple right now, I would rather have Diane and Jeffrey look at me and my wife and say, we're an open couple. We enjoy sex with people, our friends. This is what we are. If you're not interested, that's fine. You're still our friends. But if you are, we'd like to talk to you more. That's how it should be presented, not trying to get you a little drunk, try to become friends, and then just throw it out there at you. I don't think that's
Well, my previous girlfriend, the one that brought me out to California, was bisexual. And so we had a few threesomes. And
wow, Geoff, I give you a high five. I've never had a threesome. God.
And then we broke up very amicably. And with her subsequent suitors, we also had threesomes. No crossed swords, as it were, but it was more of a tag team thing,
Wow.
One would be done and could relax while the other continued.
Wow.
Some couples that are swingers say that it helps their relationship.
So that was the one deal. And then I did, when I had a job with a company in a warehouse position. I was approached by a younger woman who apparently was thrilled by an older man, invited us over. We did go over to their house. I don't know if we had dinner or not. I think we just hung out and drank some beers. But we went out, I think, to the bowling alley or something. But anyhow, that came to an end, screeching off, basically the same way. She asked if I would lie to my wife and come over and have sex with him and her and her husband. And I said no. And I don't know why people ask me that. I mean, I'm an older guy. Maybe that's just the way it is. Maybe 3 or 4 times in your life you end up with people asking you that. But I couldn't do that. You know, I mean, if me and my wife were involved with that, we'd probably be over there every night, you know, if that's the way we were. But it's strange that more people seem to ask me about it. And I'm thinking, geez, you know, what's wrong with society? I mean, is this what it is now? I don't know. Is nothing sacred anymore? I mean, Diane, I don't know. You're a single woman. You've had a child. You've been in the bar scene over there in England. Did you ever have somebody come up to you and say, hey, Diane, what are you doing after you close this bar?
Oh, yes, often.
I mean, how many times did you look at him and say, nah, I don't think so, dude?
100%.
It's just crazy. I mean, if that's the normal, then I guess I'm a more conservative than I ever thought I was. I guess I'd call that conservative, wouldn't you, Jeffrey? If I didn't want to participate in that kind of activity?
I don't know
am I
about
more
conservative?
I mean,
Prudish, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, all right, you know, I guess what I don't want to do is if I did do that, first of all, men that do that, I'm sure their wives are out the door quicker than when they're done.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. That's why, like I say, I had no problem having a girlfriend who was not only open, she was the one going out and doing the recruiting.
Yeah, and you were just sitting there. Suppose you smoked a cigar that night, huh?
I stayed out here for a few months, and she met somebody back in New Jersey named Candace, and brought her.
That's even a sexy name, Jeff.
Oh, she was very, very sexy. But I'm also very formal in certain ways, not conservative, but I call formal. So I knew that sex was on the table and going to be used and such. But there was a time that Candy and I were in the apartment by ourselves, and she was kind of surprised that I didn't instigate sex with her at that time because I wasn't sure of the boundaries or the permissions. And so it wasn't until, you know, the three of us were all in bed together, you know, that then I knew that we were able to do one-on-one sex as well when my girlfriend wasn't there.
Wow. God, Jeff, you lived the big life.
Yeah, a couple of times, too. And the thing is back east, even before I had that girlfriend, I had a friend of mine that we were, platonic's kind of the wrong word because she and I would shower together, but we didn't have sex. And then I used to visit her, and one time she thought, well, you know, I know somebody who would probably have sex with you. So she called her friend, and the three of us went out, and we got all cuddly and happy and such. But the girl was a little shy about, you know, having sex on the first meeting. So my friend who was bi was trying to warm her up. And so I was behind my friend and touching her, and apparently got her warmed up enough that suddenly she spun around and took me. I was like, okay, whatever works.
Magic fingers.
Yeah, that's in the right space and the right time.
Boy, Diane, I don't know if you want us to come visit or not. You'd have to send Mom and Dad out for the evening.
Well, that's the thing is, my sun and moon are both in Taurus, so you know it's all about
Taurus.
sensuality, not just.
My ex-wife was Taurus, and she was not sexual. Sorry, that blows that theory.
But was he sensual?
No.
Really? What was her
Yeah.
rising sign then? She may have had Virgo or something as a rising sign. Or what would be the, not Aquarius, well, maybe Aquarius. Aquarius would be, they're a little more flighty. But yeah, Scorpios are the sexies and the Tauruses are the sensualists.
Taurus is not sensual, in my opinion.
I
My
say it
ex-wife of 17 years of marriage was never sensual.
doesn't necessarily mean that her moon and rising didn't cancel out the Taurus aspect.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when a woman tells you, "Hey, are you done yet?"
That is a very uncharacteristic thing for a Taurus to say.
Well, maybe she wasn't born when she said.
She might have been a cusp.
She may have been a cusp of Aries, but the Aries is the flip side of Libra, and Libras are very sexual.
I'm a Virgo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm a perfectionist.
Yep. Best way to win an argument with a Virgo is to kick a throw rug and see how long it takes them to dive down and set it right.
Oh, boy. All right, we've had some good conversations here. I don't know how much of this will get bleeped out.
Well, it was funny. Years ago, back when CompuServe was around, I was the administrator of an X-Files chat that was a weekly live chat, and I had a bunch of regulars. And a lot of times we would talk about metaphysics and astrology and such. And this one time, this woman who had never been in the chat just popped in, and she realized we were talking about astrology, and she called it nonsense. And I was like, nonsense? What? And so she said that she was a Taurus and her husband was a Virgo. And I said, oh, you guys must have some incredible fights. She goes, what are you talking about? She says, well, the Virgo will come up with this elaborate plan to do something, and as a Taurus, you'll look at the plan and for about a minute and go, well, you see where you can tweak it here, here, and here and make it about 75 more efficient, and the Virgo will go ballistic. And there was this long pause, and all my friends were waiting, and she just typed back, how did you know?
I'm married to an Aquarius now. Virgo and Aquarius.
Oh, that's interesting. Is she a little flighty and she tends to like easily distracted, or
No. Total opposite.
it's probably the moon and risings? That's usually because, like I say, I have Gemini rising, so I don't have the standard stereotypical look of a Taurus. Tauruses are usually stereotypically heavyset and such like that. And while I have a bit of a thick is the wrong word, but a pronounced neck, which is a Taurus trait, most of what we see in other people physically is what their rising sign is. So, like a lot of times, somebody who, is heavier may have Taurus rising or even Scorpio rising because they're slightly more hedonistic signs.
I'll go listen to the Aquarius song.
Oh, the Age of Aquarius? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, Diane, very good show. Jeff, I'm glad you showed up. And,
Yeah, thanks.
And Jeff's got to tell us where he can be found.
Yes, so you
Yes.
can find me on Twitter at RealBadger, RealBadger. I just passed 11,000 followers. I try and be very funny there. I play a lot of hashtag games. I'm on Facebook. My name is spelled Jeffrey, Geoffrey .Gould. It's like Jeffrey Giraffe or Jeffrey Rush. And you can look for theparanormalview.com, and that's our official website, but we're also on Facebook. If you look up The Paranormal View, we're the community, not the magazine, which stole our name. And and the Onion video is, if you look up onion.com teenage euthanize, the title of the video is called Brain Dead Teen Can Only Roll Eyes and Text. And that's the video that my brother Alan Scott plays the
Brain dead teenager on the onion. Got it.
My brother is the dad in that.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
2,539,000 views.
Oh,
Wow.
and my own website is geoffgould.net, GeoffGould.net. So you can find all kinds of reports. If you go to my sitemap, you can look up the paranormal page where I list all of my personal paranormal experiences. that I've had and friends have had.
Well, let's hope that you get on that new show that they put out, CSI, that goes overseas in that airplane. Have you seen that show?
I have not.
What's
In
that
fact,
called?
the only CSI episodes I've seen have been episodes I've worked on in background.
It's called CSI Across the Border.
Okay.
But you ought to check it out because they go all over the world for a murder or something unusual. It's kind of like I think when that guy left the other CSI, well, here's what I think. I think they started this Across the Borders because they thought this other show would just tank. So I think they covered their ass. And I think both shows are doing good. We watch them both. And it's different with him gone. But Across the Borders is different because they're in this great big airplane that's got vehicles and everything they need to go into any country, and they get off the plane and they do their investigation.
It sounds like a different version of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, it would be great to see you on there in certain countries.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
They usually hire what's called local hire, where,
Really?
yeah, in fact, a lot of the better TV series that they film up in Vancouver, they don't bring LA actors up there. They just they find the local Canadian actor talent, and which is why a lot of times you don't always recognize somebody, or they'll say, oh, they were in Warehouse 13 or whatever, anything else that was filmed up in Canada.
Because that was part of the agreement, isn't it? That if they film in that country, that they have to use so many cameramen that's licensed there and actors and things.
Crew-wise, yeah, but a lot of times it's just money saving, that they've already lived there, and so why bring them up from LA and put them up in hotels?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, my brother was Mark Fierstein's stand-in for the first 2 seasons of Royal Pains, and he lived about 20 minutes from where they filmed. So it was an easy commute for him. But when they ran really late and they figured, well, we want to start early tomorrow, we'll just put you up in a hotel. So my brother would never say, oh, I can just drive 20 minutes to go home. He's like, thank you for putting me up in a 5-star hotel at your expense. Thank you very much.
All right, it's been great. I think it was a great show. Thank you, Jeffrey. And
Thank you, yes.
I wish you a lot of luck, and get out there and I don't know what you got to do. Get yourself a manager that can get you out there in these shows. Get going. We're not getting any younger, buddy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But there's always a part for you.
Well, my writing is getting recognized with a writing group called We Make Movies .org. If you go to their website, and they do script table read nights, and they've been really enjoying my scripts. And one of them is being made at least, and I just got cast in a web series, so which is still in the air as to pre-production, and so hopefully that'll be good. I mean, Diane will certainly know about that.
All right, Diane, thank you.
And thank you for listening, and we will be back same time, same place on your favourite station, so take care till then.
Bye.